Welcome to the WanderLearn podcast. Today we passed an important milestone. 1.5 million deaths from COVID. 1.5 million deaths. And guess what? In March 27th, guess who predicted that? Listen. My brother had a birthday in March 27th, and he had a virtual birthday party. So everybody got on Zoom. He had like 70 people show up during his 2-hour party. And several of them, my brother's a doctor, and several of the people there were also physicians. And I asked them, I said, hey, how many people do you think are going to die worldwide from this virus? And one guy said, I took the first guess. I said 1.5 million people are going to die worldwide. Rejoice, you said?
I said 1 million.
And what did the other people say?
I don't remember, but one of them I think said it's about 250 or something.
One guy said 200,000, another said, I think 150, one said 200,000. Anyway, I was the worst guy. I mean, I was, in other words, I had the worst prediction of all. In other words, the most loss of life, 1.5 million. Which, by the way, I picked that number because I said, well, that's roughly 3 times worse than a flu season. Again, don't get all over me saying it's not the flu. The coronavirus is not the flu. It's a different thing. Yes, I understand, but I'm using it as a point to say that we as a global society put up with roughly 500,000 deaths from the flu every year, year in, year out, all the time, and we deal with it, and we're just like, it sucks, that's bad news, but hey, we just go, life goes on. And so I just thought, okay, well, if it's triple that would be bad. That's right. On March 27th, I said 1.5 million deaths. Here we are in December of 2020, and that's exactly where we passed. Of course, we're going to have more than that by the end of the year, but hey, I beat those physicians, didn't I? Doesn't that count for something? And the funny thing is that a lot of people criticized me because they were saying that, Francis, you're encouraging people to go outside and go hike outside with, and go into town and resupply with masks on and gloves. It's not good enough. You got to just stay home. You got to shelter in place. Remember back then in March when people would say, we just need to flatten the curve. We just need to shelter in place for 3 weeks and it'll all be over. And I was like, well, wait a second. After you shelter in place for 3 weeks, the virus is still there. It's not like it goes away. It's going to just come back with full force. So anyway, to me, I think these things were obvious, but I guess it wasn't for the rest of the world. And now we've kind of learned that lesson. And thank God that the vaccines are coming. And so 2021 should be interesting. I'm going to make some predictions at the end of this month about what are the deaths for COVID and the flu for 2021. And you make your predictions too. Put them in the notes down below if you're watching this on YouTube, or send me an email. The other thing I'm going to be doing differently in 2021 is I'm actually going to travel. That's right. I'm going to go. I have 3 different options I'm toying around with, and tell me what your input is. Number 1, I could go to Pakistan or maybe like Armenia or Lebanon, or one of these places that are in the Middle East that are open to travelers. And those countries I just named are some of those countries. The second option that I was thinking about is maybe go back to Africa, finish my book in Africa. That might be useful because they don't have great internet, and that will help me focus. I was thinking about Côte d'Ivoire, but because they have a 1-year visa for U.S. citizens, but unfortunately right now Côte d'Ivoire is closed. So I'm not sure exactly where in Africa I would want to go. I'd want to go with somebody who gives me a nice long fat visa, and maybe a country that I didn't get to spend that much time with on the first on my 5-year trip there. And so that's why I'm thinking Côte d'Ivoire, because I really raced through Côte d'Ivoire. I hardly saw anything. So, then the third option is to go to Latin America, because there's about 5-6 countries in Latin America that I've never been to, like Paraguay, Uruguay, Peru, Ecuador. And of course those countries up in the corner there with Suriname and French Guinea, whatever they're called. Those guys up there, I haven't been to either. So that's probably my last choice. But anyway, those are the things I'm toying with in my head, because the Middle East trip is my next big trip. So what do you guys think? Stay tuned for the end of this month when you're going to hear my predictions for 2021. And you're also going to hear a recap of how I did for my 2020 predictions, and how I still feel about the predictions I made for the decade of the 2020s. That'll all come at the end of this month. Until then, please write me a review, give me a thumbs up to this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know the drill. thank you so much. This is Francis Tapon, thanking my patrons at patreon.com/ftapon, and I'm encouraging you to wander and learn.